Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do a couple different things right now. We're going to go one, I want to duplicate flat color. I want to lock out that guy. And just so you can see what we're doing is I don't really need the blue lines on this one since it's hanging out here and then it's hanging out here. So I'm going to go magic wand. I am going to grab our blue. Realistically, it shouldn't be grabbing any of those, and I should just be able to delete. So I want big areas of my colors. So that is flat color, and I want to duplicate that out again. Alright, so this is the method behind the madness. Let's call this one shadows. And let's just double click this one. This is going to be for our gradients. Okay, and now why we're doing both right now is for our gradients. I want the gradient to go all the way across these big areas. So what we're going to be doing on our shadows is we're going to start hacking this up. So we're going to start cutting in to all of our colors. So I don't want to have to come back, unite, and do all of that later. So it's much easier just to do that right now. So let's just do our line work above so you can see what's up. And I will also turn on the flat color layer. When we cut in, sometimes there's these little white strays, and that's what that flat color layer is going to do. Good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on, I'm actually going to be on the paintbrush tool, and all I'm going to do, you're like, there's no way he's drawing this cheesy as of a little sun. So all I'm drawing is a light source. And I might even just do, let's just lock that out. So what I'm looking for is where do I think this is going to hit. And I'm just giving myself some little markers. And maybe right through here. Okay. And so all I'm doing is saying, where do I think there's going to get the most light? So if I can kind of just plan that out, it makes our next steps pretty easy. So I'm just going to lock that out. If you don't want those there, no problem, just kind of hide them. Now what we're going to do with our shadows is, here is our process. I'm going to select a shape, black arrow, and then I'm going to come over underneath our eraser. There's this fun little knife tool. Now the knife tool looks eerily similar to this slice tool. Don't touch that slice tool. It's not even going to be close to what you want. And this is what we are going to do. So let's just zoom, zoom, zoom. Let's go way in with it. So let's just say I want some bags under this eye. So I have my blue selected. So the process is, one, select the shape that you want to cut. Notice that I am going to go all the way through the orange. So what we don't want to do is just have a little line floating out in space. So notice that it's not cutting through anything. So I want to be in the blue, and it's going to try and make it as smooth as you can. And I'm going to be back. Notice that I started and stopped within that stroke. I'm going to go black arrow V, just basically deselect, come back over, and then I can go up one. Okay? The deselect is just so if everything colors, the deselect is that little thing that is going to throw you off. Alright, let's say under through here into that armpit. So I can do it in chunks, by the way. So if I go down, so notice that I started in the mouth, just drop down. And then I'm going to go right into the whale armpit. Notice I went all the way through. I deselected. And then I'm just going to go up one. Now if there's any of these little random strays, I know you're already going, I don't like that. I'm just going to come over to Pathfinder and I'm going to unite those two shapes together. Alright, that's a highlight, so I'm going to select my fin. And I'm going to just come. Now I do have that, so I say all of that should be dark. Why not? That does not bother me too much. Again, I can unite. Alright, let's have some fun over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift. Come back to the knife tool, and I'm going to try and hit over here. It's not going to happen, but we're going to try. Just depending on how good of a day it is. Boop. Boom. Alright, so notice I deselected, by the way. And now I'm coming back. I'm holding shift. So if you have big areas, just whoosh, do it all at once. And then again, we didn't do it. Double click. Get a little bit darker. And I do want to save that guy. Drag it on over. Let's do a little cast shadow over here. So I'm selecting both of those. And I'm just going to say there's going to be a whale shadow going through them. Up one. Come over and select it. Up one. Well, let's just say through this face, maybe there'll be a nice little, right through there there'll be one. And none of this is permanent. You can delete, you can come back, you can erase all of this. So this is just seeing if we can pop out a few little things here and there. All right, I'm just looking at this tail. Good. Nice and smooth. And I'm almost thinking in the highlight right now. I want to highlight there. I want to highlight there. That can be dark. Let's just say there'll be a nice little cast shadow from his head. Now one of these I can already tell. Let's see. Up one. Now if I want to unite everything, just come on over Pathfinder. Unite. And I might be cutting back in here a little bit later. Just seeing if there's anything else I can add on or if we're good. Let's go through under the lip here. Let's just say there'll be one kind of cast underneath there. Now I've been using the knife. Let's just give you another version. I'm going to use the pen tool. You could also use the live tool. You can do any of those. You can also do these shapes. Thing would actually work out. And all right, so I'm going to go Shift C, and I don't need any fill and or color. So this is just if you're not getting smooth lines with the knife tool. If you want a little bit of a different version that's a little bit cleaner, I'm going to leave that where it is. Good. And now I'm just going to come back and I'm grabbing all of these top shapes. I'm holding down Shift. And then a Pathfinder that I think is really, really easy to use is this divide. So under Pathfinder, the first one is just divide. And all it's going to do is just cut up your shapes. So what's kind of nice is you can pick and choose what you want to do with them and just delete them. So it really does do almost all of this other stuff. So it's really an easy one to start with. Now I'm going to ungroup it. So the only random thing that you need to remember is to ungroup after your Pathfinder. I'm going to come back in and I'm holding down Shift. If it doesn't know what you're grabbing, just zoom in, by the way. And then I'm going to come on over and pop those up. So if you say, hey, I want this one, I'm just looking for any other little thing. Let's do one on the... Oh, there is... I forgot a big giant one. Shame, 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 Jay. Alright, so I wanted one pretty much going all the way on one side of the face, I think. I'm going to go right into that armpits. And I am going to do another little step just so you can see how we can modify things too. So let's say for this one, this front one, let's just click on A so we can see what we're doing. I can always take these points and I can always modify them as well. So if I zoom in, I say, hey, I want this top to have a little bit more of a curve. I want it to match coming over a little bit more. I can always come in and modify these points. Now notice that I am grabbing just that shadow. Now if anything's ever competing, now notice that there is going to be a gap. More than likely we're just going to get rid of this. Let me just show you what's actually taking place. So if I got rid of my flat color layer, you're going to notice that there's a little bit of a gap. So if we get rid of all of our flat color blue, this isn't going to matter. So I usually save both colors, and the reasons for that is if I wanted to say, hey, I want the opposite, I want to do a highlight shape, I like still having that version here so I can do the opposite. Okay, so we're not necessarily going to do that. We're going to do a little bit more with gradients today, but I like having both, and then at a certain point if I say, hey, I don't need this, I can still come back and I have my flat color layer ready to go. Alright, hopefully you guys followed that. That was just getting fancy with modifying. A lot of times when we modify this, it's just as is, but just so you don't have to keep doing the knife tool, you can come back and modify that. I don't think I have anything else to say. Done and done. Look at that. Get rid of our silly sun. So what we are going to do, file, save. In the next tutorial, what we are going to do is we're going to finish this thing up. We're going to add on a stroke. We're going to finish up our background. We are also going to be adding on our gradients. So that is what we are going to be doing on this layer next, is we're going to get all fancy with our gradients. We might modify a few things. We might get some other little colors coming back in, but once we have all of that down, then we can start getting fancy. So save, 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 and I will see you guys on the next tutorial. If you have any questions going through that, definitely put a little comment in those sections. I do read those. Thank you for staying positive, since my students do read those. And if you guys are liking these, definitely thumbs up, and I will see you guys on the next tutorial.